Hey everyone, welcome back to Afterlife Experiences. Before we jump in, drop your country in the comments below. It's amazing to see how these real-life experiences are connecting people from all around the world. And if you haven't yet, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any powerful testimonies like these. Let's get started.
Hey guys, my name's Kaden Brooks. Honestly, I never imagined I'd be sitting here sharing something like this. I mean, I've been through a lot, but this is something else. It's wild. I still get chills thinking about it, and sometimes, damn, it feels like it's happening all over again right inside my chest. And so here's the deal. I was a Hollywood star. Not some A-lister, but enough to have a platform, a voice, a spotlight. I had fans, followers, and yeah, I was living the kind of life people dream about. But beneath all the glitz, the red carpets, and flashing cameras, I was lost. I used my platform to entertain, to stir drama, to make myself relevant. I didn't think about what I was really saying or who I was influencing. It was all about the likes and the headlines. Then one night, everything changed. I died. Yep, straight up. And what happened next was surreal. I found myself standing before Jesus, not like some old painting or statue, but him as real and raw as anything I've ever experienced. He looked at me with eyes full of love and questions, and then he asked the one thing I wasn't prepared for. What did you use your platform for? That question hit me harder than any script, any review, any viral moment in my life. I didn't have an answer that I was proud of. That night, I was forced to confront everything, my choices, my mistakes, the impact I'd made, and honestly, it scared me. So yeah, this is my story. The story of how a Hollywood star died, faced the ultimate question, and what came after changed me forever. Hey everyone, my name's Kaden Brooks. I've been in the spotlight for years. Movies, TV shows, social media, maybe you've seen me around. But today, I'm not here to talk about the fame or the glitz. I want to share something I never imagined I'd say out loud, something so real and raw that even now, months later, it still haunts me. I died, not like in a metaphorical way, but actually, literally died. And what happened next? Well, it changed everything about how I see myself and what I did with the platform I was given. I was living the dream on the surface, red carpets, flashing cameras, adoring fans screaming my name, but behind all of that was a different story, a story of loneliness, fear, and a desperate hunger for attention. I used my platform to push buttons, to stir controversy, to keep people talking. I chased clout like it was air, but I never stopped to think, what was I really using my voice for? Who was I truly helping, if anyone? The night I died, it was a car accident. Rain, slick roads, a sharp turn I didn't see coming, then the world spinning out of control. I remember the crash, the pain, and then silence. Not darkness, not nothing, just this stillness that felt like floating between worlds. And then, out of nowhere, I found myself standing face to face with Jesus. Not some distant religious figure, but him, right there, looking at me with eyes that saw everything. My lies, my fears, my selfishness. He asked me a question that cut through every excuse I ever made. What did you use your platform for? Said your urges? It wasn't a judgment. It wasn't a threat. It was a question filled with love and expectation. And I had no answer, because the truth was I'd wasted it. I used my voice for myself, for drama, for fleeting fame, not for truth. Not for kindness, not for making the world a better place. That moment was the most terrifying and humbling experience of my life. I was forced to confront everything, the words I said, the people I hurt, the chance I'd thrown away. And in that place, I saw my whole life laid bare. But it wasn't just about punishment. It was about a chance for redemption, something I never thought I deserved. And it all started with that question. So this is my story. The story of a Hollywood star who died, faced the ultimate reckoning, and what happened after that night. How it changed me forever. So after that question, the one that shook me to my core, everything around me shifted. It wasn't like waking up or falling asleep. It was more like stepping into a space where every moment of my life played back in vivid detail. The good, the bad, the ugly, all illuminated like I was standing under a spotlight with nowhere to hide. I started seeing the way I used my platform. There were moments when I made jokes at other people's expense, tweets that sparked fights, viral videos that pitted fans against each other just for clicks and views. I thought it was all harmless entertainment, but in that space, I could feel the damage. People hurt, friendships broken, even fans who looked up to me feeling lost and confused. One scene hit me harder than the rest. It was a private message from a fan who'd reached out in desperation, battling depression. She asked if I could say something encouraging, something real, and I ignored it. I was too busy chasing a headline, too caught up in the next big party. Watching that moment again broke me. It wasn't just neglect. It was cruelty by silence. Jesus didn't say a word during all this. He just watched me with those eyes that held both sorrow and hope. I felt the weight of every careless word and every missed chance to speak life instead of noise. I wanted to apologize, to fix everything, but I was stuck in that moment, overwhelmed by regret. Then, he asked me again, if you had the chance to change one thing, what would it be? I wanted to say it all, but the simplest truth came out. I wish I had used my platform to help others, to spread hope, not just to boost my own fame. The silence returned, but it wasn't empty. It was full of possibility, because the question wasn't just about the past, it was a call to what could be. Then something changed. The space around me softened, and I felt a pull, as if I was being given a chance to rewrite the story. But I knew it wouldn't be easy. Redemption always comes with a cost, and I realized standing there that I had to face the consequence of my choices and step into a new purpose. The platform I'd wasted could still be a tool for good, if I was willing to be honest, humble, and brave. As that possibility settled over me, the space around me began to shift again, not in a scary way, but in a kind of awakening. I felt myself stepping into a deeper understanding. It was like peeling back layers of my life one by one until I saw the core of who I was beneath the spotlight and the flashing cameras. I started to see the real people behind the fame, fans who looked up to me, people who trusted me without knowing me, others who had been hurt by the persona I created. I remembered the times I dismissed their struggles because I thought my problems were bigger, or because I wanted to protect my image. Those memories hit me like punches. I felt the weight of every missed opportunity to be real, to be kind, to be a positive force. Jesus didn't speak in words this time. Instead, his presence filled me with a fierce, undeniable love and expectation. It was as if he was saying, "You're more than your mistakes. You're called to something greater." Then he asked me another question, one I wasn't ready for but couldn't ignore. Are you willing to change? To use your platform not for yourself, but for others? I wanted to say yes. I wanted to believe I could be that person. But I also knew it meant confronting my pride, my fears, and the parts of me I had hidden behind the fame. It meant owning up to the damage I'd caused and doing the hard work of making things right. At that moment, I felt a fire ignite inside me. Not a destructive blaze, but a refining one. A fire that would burn away the old me and forge someone new. I reached out and took the hand Jesus extended, and with that, I was ready to begin the journey back. As I felt myself pulled toward the world I'd left behind, I carried with me the weight of that question and the hope that I could become the kind of star who didn't just shine, but also lifted others up. Coming back wasn't like flipping a switch. It was slow, painfully slow. When I woke up, I was back in the hospital bed, tubes and machines humming all around me. The physical pain was intense, but what hit me even harder was the heaviness in my heart. That question, what did you use your platform for, wasn't just a spiritual moment anymore. It was a call I couldn't ignore. I looked around and saw my family, my friends, the people who had stood by me through everything, even when I was at my worst, and suddenly, the idea of being honest with them and with myself felt like the most terrifying thing I'd ever faced. In the days that followed, I wrestled with guilt and shame. I thought about every careless tweet, every joke at someone's expense, every moment I chose fame over meaning. But I also felt a growing resolve, a determination to change, to be better. I started small. I reached out to fans with real messages, not just scripted posts. I used my social media to highlight causes I never cared about before: mental health, kindness, community. I apologized publicly for things I'd said and done. It wasn't easy. People doubted me. Some even mocked the change. But I kept going. The most powerful moment came when I shared my experience, the near-death moment, and meeting Jesus on a live stream. I was scared to be that vulnerable, but the response was overwhelming. Messages poured in from people who felt lost, hurt, or stuck in their own darkness. For the first time, I realized the true power of a platform used with purpose. That's when I knew the question wasn't just about my past. It was a lifelong challenge to use what I have to make a real difference. So, as I continued to rebuild, the biggest lesson I learned was humility. Fame had fed my ego for so long, it was hard to remember who I really was underneath it all. But that question, what did you use your platform for, kept pulling me back to reality. It wasn't just about likes or headlines anymore, it was about impact, about responsibility. I started reaching out to people I'd wronged, apologizing sincerely, even when it was uncomfortable. Some responded with forgiveness, others with anger, and I had to accept both. I also began working with organizations that helped causes I never gave a second thought to before: mental health awareness, anti-bullying campaigns, addiction recovery programs. It felt right. It felt like the purpose I'd been missing. But the biggest change was inside me. The fear of being exposed for who I really was, the pressure to keep up a perfect image, it began to fade. I found strength in vulnerability. I discovered that honesty and authenticity created connections deeper than any viral moment ever could. Sometimes I think back to that moment standing before Jesus, and the question he asked me, it wasn't a condemnation. It was a wake-up call. It was love demanding I live up to the gift I was given. And the truth is, I still mess up. I'm still learning every day how to use this platform for good. But now, I do it with intention, with heart, because I know what's at stake. When I say coming back was hard, I mean hard in ways that go beyond just physical pain. It was like waking up from a dream that rewrites everything you thought you knew about yourself. My body was broken, sure. Bruises, burns, broken ribs. But the real battle was inside my mind and soul. Because after that encounter, after facing Jesus and that question, I wasn't the same person anymore. And that was terrifying. I remember lying in that hospital bed, staring at the ceiling, feeling every beep and hum around me. The silence felt deafening, like the world had stopped, and I was trapped in a moment of pure reflection. Every success, every failure, every careless word I'd thrown out into the world came rushing back like a tidal wave. It was overwhelming. I wanted to run from it, to bury it under the fame and the noise, but I couldn't. That moment had cracked me open. What scared me the most was the real weight of the question. What did you use your platform for? For years, I thought I was untouchable, that the spotlight was mine to do with what I wanted. But no, the truth hit me. Every tweet, every post, every comment had power, and I had wasted it. I had built my image on controversy, on drama, on jokes that sometimes hurt people. I had used my voice to feed my ego, not to uplift or heal. But then, in that broken hospital room, something shifted. I realized that the platform wasn't just a tool for fame. It was a responsibility. It was a chance to reach people who needed more than empty words or viral content. It was a chance to be a force for good. I started small. I shared the truth of my experience openly, without filters or edits. I apologized publicly for the ways I'd hurt people. I began to highlight causes that mattered: mental health, addiction recovery, bullying prevention. Each time I did, it felt like a piece of that old, selfish Kaden was dying and a new me was being born. It wasn't easy. The spotlight can be brutal. People doubted me. Some called it a stunt. But the ones who mattered, the fans who reached out to say their lives were touched, the people who told me my honesty gave them hope, that made it worth it. I think about that moment with Jesus all the time, how he looked at me, not with anger, but with love and expectation, how he gave me a chance when I didn't deserve it, and how he challenged me to be better. I still mess up. Every day is a battle, but now I use that platform for something real. I speak with purpose. I try to lift others up, because I know firsthand what it means to be lost in the dark and what it means to be called back to the light. All right, let me tell you, walking the path of real change after everything I went through, it's like walking a tightrope over a pit of fire. Every day I wake up and wrestle with the old habits, the ego, the temptation to slip back into the noise and the superficial life I once lived. But now, there's a weight on me, this responsibility that won't let me forget the moment Jesus asked me, "What did you use your platform for?" It's a question that follows me everywhere. I started to realize the sheer power my words carry. It's crazy when you think about it. One tweet, one video, one comment can lift someone up or tear them down. Before, I didn't care enough to think twice. Now I weigh every word, every post, because I know lives depend on it. People look to you when you're in the spotlight, and that's both a privilege and a burden. The change wasn't overnight. It was messy. I lost followers. I lost friends. Some people didn't believe my transformation was genuine. They said it was just for show, that I was cashing in on a sob story. Those voices hurt, but they also strengthened my resolve. I had to prove to myself and to them that this wasn't a stunt. It was my life. I began partnering with nonprofits and charities, using my influence to raise awareness for mental health, addiction recovery, and anti-bullying campaigns. I shared stories of hope and struggle, not just my own, but those of people I met along the way. Every share, every fundraiser, every moment I spent shining a light on someone else's pain felt like a step toward redemption. But the real change was internal. I had to face my own pride and fears head on. I had to be honest when I screwed up, and believe me, I still do. There were days when the old temptations came rushing back. The need for attention, the desire to be liked, the fear of being forgotten. But I've learned to lean into vulnerability instead of hiding from it. The platform I once used to build a persona became a tool for connection, healing, and truth. And it's not just about me anymore. It's about the lives I can touch, the voices I can amplify, the hope I can spread. I'll never forget that moment with Jesus. It changed everything. And now, every time I log on, every time I speak, every time I post, I carry that question with me, reminding me why this platform matters. Here we are, the final part of this journey, and honestly, it feels surreal to even say that. From standing on the edge of life, facing Jesus, to waking up and deciding to turn my whole world upside down. It's been the hardest, most humbling experience of my life. Since that night, I've dedicated myself to something real. I don't just chase likes anymore, I chase impact. I share not just the highlight reels, but the struggles, the messiness, the truths nobody likes to admit. Because real connection, that's what changes lives. That's what redeems. I've seen people inspired, people reach out and say, "Your story saved me." And those words, they're more valuable than any award or headline. They remind me that this platform is a gift, a responsibility, and a chance to make a difference. But here's the raw truth. I'm still human. I still mess up. I still feel doubt and fear. Some days are harder than others, but I face those days with honesty and with the question Jesus asked me echoing in my heart. What did you use your platform for? It keeps me grounded, focused, and striving to be better. If there's one thing I want you to take away from my story, it's this. No matter who you are or what you've done, it's never too late to change. You have a platform, whether it's big or small, and you have a choice. Use it to build, to heal, to lift others up, because that's what matters in the end. Thanks for listening to my story. It's been real, it's been raw, and it's been the most important journey of my life. I hope it inspires you to think about your own platform and what you want to do with it.